Listen, take my lips and speak through them. Take our ears and hear through them. Take our hearts and set them on fire with love for thee. May I speak in the name of the living God.
Amen.
This morning, Jesus is preaching from a boat to a crowd gathered on the shoreline in a kind of natural amphitheater. Listen, he says, the sower went out to sow, maybe pointing to someone doing just that on the hillside. Listen. The sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the packed, hard path, and the birds came and ate them. Others fell in shallow soil and sprang up quickly, but the rocks kept their roots from growing deep, and they withered in the scorching sun. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the weeds choked them. And other seeds fell into good soil, and the harvest was wildly abundant. Let anyone with ears listen. Jesus is now preaching outdoors in Matthew's gospel. He's no longer confining himself to the synagogues. He's talking to crowds, to anyone within hearing, but only in parables. And when the disciples ask him why, in the verses omitted from today's reading, he says it's because people only hear what they're prepared to hear. You disciples have ready hearts and minds, so insights come readily to you. But when people aren't ready to listen, aren't prepared, then whatever receptivity they have soon falls away. In their present state, in the words of the message, they can stare till doomsday and not see, listen till they're blue in the face and not get it. Jesus tells parables to make people wonder what on earth he's talking about, to make them puzzle over his message. He takes earthly things that they know well and then infuses them with spiritual meaning. It's an effective tactic against those hoping to catch him in talk of rebellion or insurrection as he proclaims his kingdom. So what did Jesus, this Jesus, say to the crowd? Well, he talked about farming. Stories don't make good sound bites. Talk about wily as a serpent and innocent as a dove. We call this the parable of the sower, but according to Jesus' interpretation, we should probably call it the parable of the soils, because Jesus tells the disciples that the meaning of the parable is what happens to the seed because of the soil into which it falls. He's not talking about the quality of the message, the seed. He's talking about the quality of the listening, the soil into which the message falls. And he outlines various things that can happen. When people aren't prepared to listen, it doesn't matter how good the message is. The word never gets beneath the surface. The evil one snatches it out of the person's heart. This is the seed sown on the path. The seed sown in gravel is received with enthusiasm and takes root immediately, because there's no depth of soil, but there's no depth of character either, and as soon as trouble comes, there's nothing to show for it, and it withers away. The seed sown among the thorns is the person who hears the good news, but the weeds of worry and avarice strangle the seed, and nothing comes of it. The seed cast on good earth is the person who hears the word of the kingdom and understands it, and whose life yields a harvest beyond their wildest dreams. What I love about today's parable is it's happening in real time, both then and now, because right now this parable is bouncing off the heads of some of the people sitting here. And they're thinking throwing seeds is no way to farm. Anyone can tell you that. You want things to grow, plant them in well-spaced rows in, wait for it, good soil. Hello, plan, be sensible. They don't want to be stirred up by this profligate abundance. Chaos lies that way. They don't want to be turned over, and they certainly are not looking for compost. Hard, packed soil. We have ears, but we don't hear. The seed bounces off, the birds come, and the evil one just snatches it away. But we're none the wiser. We're just still sitting there thinking someone else has a problem. Some of us get caught up in the excitement of the moment. Our cousin's friend's brother was healed by Jesus, so we're so enthused to be here. The seed springs up quickly, but the soil is shallow. The plant has no root. As soon as trouble comes that calls for patience or for digging deeper, forget it. We have all been here, saints. This is when you come out of church feeling so uplifted and spiritual and then fight in the car all the way home. Enthusiasm withers and there's nothing left to show. Now, some of us, let's face it, we hear the word, but our soil is weedy. It's choked with anxiety and worry and the need to make it big. We're busy trying to buy our way in or out. I mean, sure, God looks good, but other things look better. What I want and feel I must do or be or have. No sooner does the little faith sprout than it's choked off. I mean, we say we believe in God, but we live as functional atheists, as if everything depends on us. We're the ones who've got the whole world in our hands. God who? The seed yields nothing. Some of us may be looking a bit worse for wear, having been broken up and overturned by life, sporting bits of rotten banana peels and used coffee grounds, discover, miracle of miracles, that we hear and we understand. And we turn toward God like a flower toward the sun. The soil is fertile. The seed takes deep root down, yielding a harvest of grace beyond our wildest dreams. Let anyone with ears listen. In the parables, Jesus comes at us slant, indirectly. He doesn't trigger our defenses. He captures our imagination. He entices us to look at familiar things in new ways and to wonder about them and to ponder our assumptions. For example, right off the top, we tend to get very spiritual where God is concerned. In fact, we risk becoming more spiritual than God. And here's this parable telling us plainly that, spiritually speaking, we have more in common with our backyard than we think. See this hard-packed clay, says God? Yeah, this is a lot like you. Or this rocky soil full of parched roots. I mean, I'm glad you're excited, but learn to pace yourself. It takes time to let faith go deep. Weedy soil, you poor thing. You are tangled up everywhere I look. Stop trying to save yourself. That's my job. Come here, you. Come unto me, all ye that travail and are heavy laden, and I will refresh you. God's message to us this morning is, and we should put this on a t-shirt, don't be afraid of compost. Dig deep, get messy, let your lives be opened and your hearts softened. And blessed are you if you allow others to help you, because vulnerability is fertile soil. Don't cover it over. Don't pack it down. Vulnerability allows faith and hope and love to take root. Fear not. Saints, there's nothing that isn't compost to God. I'm reminded of the 14th century English mystic, Julian of Norwich, who revealed that Jesus told her in a vision that sin is behovely, meaning fitting, useful, necessary to the plan of salvation. Oh, happy fault, she said, sharing the vision, that human failure serves a purpose by bringing God's immense love and mercy and compassion into our lives. Every rotten thing can be turned to fertile soil by and for God's grace. This parable tells us that God isn't the one with his head up in the clouds. We are. God is at work in the muck and the mire, profligately throwing God's message of love and salvation to everyone, everywhere, upon all kinds of soil without judgment. But we are integral to the process. God's life-giving word can only go as deep as the listening allows. It is not a great preacher who makes a great church. It is great listening, great listeners that make a great church. It's great listeners who make possible the abundant harvest. Take my lips and speak through them. Take our ears and hear through them. Take our hearts and set them on fire with love for thee. Let everyone with ears listen and imagine what might happen if everybody did. Amen.